Hello everyone, myself Dr. Samriddhi Sharma and I am a homeopathic physician from Jaipur, Rajasthan, and my co-author is Dr. Jagdish Thebar, who is professor and HOD in Department of Practice of Medicine in Swastika Kalyan Homeopathic Medical College and Research Center, Sitapura, Jaipur. And today I am going to discuss hypertension and its homeopathic approach with you all. So first of all, we begin with the introduction of the hypertension, that what the hypertension means. Hypertension is a condition that is characterized by the increase in the arterial pressure of the individual. It is the most common cardiovascular disease all over the world and constitute an important risk factor for the cardiovascular deaths. Higher the blood pressure, higher the risk of complications like stroke, MI and renal failure. So first of all, I want to tell you that is the increase in the arterial blood pressure of the individual, and it can lead to the severe risk complications like stroke, MI and renal failure. So isolated systolic hypertension is defined as systolic pressure of 140 mmHg or more and diastolic of less than 90 mmHg. So WHO expert committee has recommended that blood pressure should be recorded in sitting position of the patient. Majority of the people don't know how to record the blood pressure, so it should be recorded in the sitting position of the patient. Only one arm, either right or left, to be used consistently. The reading at which Korotkoff sound is first heard is considered as systolic pressure, and at which the K sound disappears is considered as a diastolic pressure. So this is a very important thing you need to remember, that the Korotkoff sound is very much important. When it's first heard, it is considered as a systolic pressure, and when it disappears, it's considered as a diastolic pressure. At least 3 readings should be taken over the period of 3 minutes, and the lowest reading is the recorded. Now moving on to the types of the hypertension. So first of all, the type is the primary and the second one is secondary. So primary is also known as essential and where the causes are generally unknown. Okay, and it accounts nearly 90% of cases. It is called secondary when the cause is known, such as the diseases of the kidneys, tumors of adrenal gland, consumption of drugs like steroids, oral pills, congenital narrowing of aorta, etc. Okay, so this account for the 10% of cases. So causes of hypertension, here are the listed causes of the hypertension. As we have discussed, they are the renal causes. So renal causes comprises of acute glomerulonephritis, chronic nephritis, polycystic disease, diabetic nephropathy, hydronephrosis, renal artery stenosis, intrarenal vasculitis, renin producing tumors. Okay, so wherever there are the tumors, it causes the constriction of the vessels and leads to increase in the arterial pressure. Okay, so next, moving on to the next is endocrine. Endocrine cause are the acromegaly, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, hypercalcemia and Cushing syndrome, where the hormonal changes occurs. Okay, so there is also the hypertension. Primary aldosteronism, pheochromocytoma. Okay, so cardiovascular causes are the important ones: aortic valvular insufficiency, coarctation of aorta, and the neurological causes are increased intracranial pressure, that is the brain tumor. So where there is a tumor, it causes the restriction of the blood flow, and the restricted blood flow causes the increase in the arterial tension, leading into the hypertension. Okay, so these are the neurological causes. Now moving on to the risk factors. What are the risk factors of the hypertension? So first one is the age. As the age advances, there is the rise in the blood pressure of the individual. Okay, usually as the age advances, there is a cumulative effect of the environmental factors, thus usually the prevalence is above 40 years of age. Sex, during young age there is no difference in the blood pressure in both genders, but the middle age there is a male preponderance, so male is getting more hypertension than the females. However, in later life the pattern is reversed and is more among the women, maybe because of the postmenopausal changes. So postmenopausal changes cause the hypertension in the woman, but when we see the ratio of the gender having the hypertension, so male is having the more hypertension than the females, but postmenopausal females having the more hypertension also. Okay, moving on to the genetic factors. A polygenic type of inheritance has been postulated based on the twins and the family studies. However, no genetic markers have been identified. Both the parents are hypertensive. Offsprings have 45% possibility of developing hypertension. If both the parents are hypertensive, offsprings have 45 possibility of developing hypertension, and if the parents are normotensive, the possibility is only 3%. Now, what is about the ethnicity? Studies have shown higher BP levels among the black people than the white. Okay, occupation involving stress, strain, including tension, predisposed to the development of hypertension. Now, what about the socioeconomic status? Prevalence is more among the higher socioeconomic status than the lower ones. Okay, moving on to the physical activity, patients or the people having the physically inactive body and the sedentary life, they are more susceptible to hypertension. Obese people have the higher risk of hypertension, especially central obesity, increased in the waist to hip ratio. Okay, diet, the patient is who is taking the salt intake in the diet are at the greater risk of hypertension, and the food rich in the saturated fats is a risk factor for hypertension also, and the diseases like diabetes predispose to hypertension. So the people who are having the diabetes or diabetic patients have the hypertension predisposition. High alcohol intake raises systolic pressure more than the diastolic pressure, and the consumption of oral contraceptive pills over the long period of several years constitute the risk factor of hypertension because of the estrogen component is present there. Now discussing the clinical features with you, that most consistent symptom is a headache. It is early morning suboccipital pulsating headache. Okay, so the patient having the diabetes, the first common symptom you see in them, that is the headache, and it is a early morning suboccipital pulsating headache, and is often associated with stiffness of neck that awakens the patient from sleep and gives relief after vomiting. So you can see that the hypertensive patients have the headache that is suboccipital, and there is a pulsating headache with the stiffness of the neck, and the patient awakens from the sleep and the patient got relief after the vomiting. So dizziness is also present, palpitations also present, and the patient gets easily fatigued. You can see the discharges, there is a epistaxis also present, blurring of vision, the patient got a blurred vision, and personality change, breathlessness. So these are the clinical features of the hypertension. Now moving on to the blood pressure measurement. So first is the condition of the patient posture. So I have discussed earlier, the patient should be in the upright sitting position. You can measure from either of the arms. So sitting pressures are usually adequate for routine measurement of blood pressure. Patient should sit quietly with the back supported for 5 minutes with the arm bared and supported at the level of heart. Okay. In patient age greater than 65 years, diabetic or receiving antihypertensive therapy, check for postural changes by taking reading 1 or 5 minutes after patient stands up. Now equipment, as everyone know, but important thing is that how you have to wrap the equipment. Okay, there's a cuff size, the bladder size should encircle at least 80% of the arm circumference and cover 2/3 of the arm length. If not, place the bladder over the brachial artery. Okay, if the bladder is too small, spuriously high readings may result. The lower edge of the bladder should be within 2.5 cm of the antecubital fossa. Manometer, mercury, Android or electronic devices used in the measurement of the blood pressure should be calibrated frequently and routinely against standards to assure accuracy. And for the infants, you can use ultrasonic equipment, that is the Doppler method. Okay. Next one is assessment and management. What you have to assess the intracranial events, that is ischemia of the brainstem will cause acute rise in the BP. So a neurological examination is needed and the CT scan of the head should be considered. If there is fluid overload, because once the capacity of the venous blood reservoir becomes saturated, there is increase in the fluid volume that leads to increase in the BP. Okay. Underlying medical problem you have to assess. There is a brief search for the history of the renal disease, spinal injury, and less common metabolic causes such as pheochromocytoma that you have to do. Okay, in the woman, the childbearing age, pregnancy induced hypertension, preeclampsia must always be considered. Primary cardiac problem, myocardial ischemia, and acute heart failure and aortic dissection can all be present with hypertension. Drug related problem, most commonly this involves antihypertensives. So moving on to the next thing, that is the prevention of hypertension. In order to decrease the incidence of hypertension in the general population, the following lifestyle modifications are necessary. First one is a weight control. As we know, the weight is playing the important role in developing or maintaining the hypertension. So weight control is very much important. Next is increase physical activity. The patient must do the physical activity because the sedentary lifestyle leads to developing the hypertension. Limiting dietary sodium to less than 2.4 per day, equivalent to 6 grams of sodium chloride. Abstination from alcohol. Alcohol causes the vasoconstriction that leads to development of the hypertension. So you must remember, you must abstain from alcohol. Increase dietary potassium. Adopting the DASH eating plan. So DASH diet is very much important for the hypertensions. Okay, the people who have hypertension or prone to develop hypertension must use the DASH diet. Okay, which is a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and the low fat dairy products, and low in saturated and total fat and cholesterol, is more important than just altering individual micronutrients such as sodium. Okay, so DASH diet is very much important for the patient who is prone to hypertension. Now, first of all, we are about to discuss the general treatment, that is allopathic point of view of the hypertension. Okay, so first of all, what I have told you about that you have to correct your obesity, reduce alcohol intake, restrict salt intake, do physical exercise, and increase consumption of the fruit and vegetable. These all things lower the BP. Okay, and stopping smoking, eating oily fish, and adopting a diet that is low in saturated fat may produce further reduction in the cardiovascular risk, and the patient can be free from the hypertension. So drugs such as thiazides, ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptors blockers, calcium channel antagonists, combined beta and alpha blockers, other vasodilators such as prazosin, doxazosin, etc., these can be used. Okay, now moving on to the most important point of the hypertension, that is the homeopathic treatment. Okay, as we know, homeopathy work on the principle of the similia similibus curantur. So the medicine selection should be done according to symptom similarity of the patient. So here there are the some important homeopathic medicines with their symptoms, so please hear it very carefully. First one is Aconite Napellus for the high blood pressure with anxiety. So Aconite is having much anxiety. The patient is showing the anxiety and restlessness. The Rustox also shows the restlessness, and arsenic also shows restlessness, as well as Aconite also shows restlessness. But all three medicines have the restlessness in different spheres. Okay, the affected person often experiences a sudden fear of the death. Aconite patient has a fear of death. Arsenic also has a fear of death, but both of them also has a difference. Okay, other common symptoms include palpitations, pressure in the left side of the chest, sensation of weight on the breastbone, and oppression in the chest. Belladonna is having the congestion. As I say one line about the belladonna, that is a redness, swelling, and heat pain with the hypertension. There is a flushed face, redness, throbbing carotids. So these are the important symptoms of the belladonna. Okay, lacasis is the patients for high blood pressure during the menopause. Okay, so it is a very good medicine that acts on the climacteric age groups, and the patient has an aggravation after sleeping or in the morning. So lacasis has this important symptoms that the patient is having the aggravation after sleeping. And constriction anemia, the patient cannot bear the constriction, must loosen everything. Neck, throat, chest, abdomen clothes must be loosened. Okay, it is a left sided remedy and generally have the fractions for the throat, chest, and ovaries. Okay, so the important thing that you need to remember about the lacasis, that is its aggravation and the constriction. Okay, next one is an Natromune. Natromune patient have the salt desire for those with the salty tooth. Salt desires, and the most important thing, that is aggravation 10 to 11 am. So the aggravation time 10 to 11 am is very much important for the Natromune. Okay, and the tongue, when you see the patient tongue is mapped with red insular patches, and for the bad effect of anger, and craves salt and salty things. So the Natromune patient craves salt and salty things, and there is great emaciation. The patient showing the emaciation even while living well. Okay, and the emaciation is most in the neck. Next is glonine. Glonine is for the high blood pressure with the headache. Next one is the argentum nitricum. The argentum nitricum patient is very much impulsive. Time goes too slow, must walk fast. And the patient is showing too much apprehension when getting ready for the church opera, and has an attack of diarrhea. So whenever the patient gets ready for any public meeting, the patient gets diarrhea. The first day or she has to go for the washroom. Okay, so this is the important thing. And the crave sweet. So this is the important thing of the argentum nitricum. Next is the phosphorus. Phosphorus constitution is very much important, that the patient is tall, slender, narrow chested and sciatic patient. Okay, and the patient is very much sensitive to the cold, craves cold thing, ice creams and cold water. And the cold water which is taken, it soon throws out, or it is vomited as soon as it gets warm. Okay, so this is important thing of the phosphorus. And the hemorrhages are also important. So if the patient is showing these symptoms along with the hypertension, you should remember about these medicines. Okay, next is Revolfia. And Revolfia mother tincture is very much used for the hypertension, and dose is also mentioned here, that 5 to 10 drop of the tincture twice daily in the beginning, then give 1x 2x drops twice daily. So it is for the high blood pressure that is associated with marked atheromatous changes in the vessels. Where there are the atheromatous changes, try to think about the Revolfia subintina. Okay, next is Calcarea carb. So Calcarea carb constitution is also much important, because these are the constitutional medicines. So Calcarea carb patients, when you see them, they are obese. Okay, or tendency to obese, and they tire up very easily. Okay, and the sweat is very much important. The patient has a sweat on the upper part of the body. You can see the whole head is sweated, and the sore sweat is very much important. And the upper chest and the back, these are full of sweat. Okay, so this is the Calcarea carb. Next one is the Britamur, and Britamur is for high systolic and low diastolic blood pressure. High blood pressure with high systolic reading and low diastolic reading. The arteriosclerotic changes in the arteries are the main symptom, along with the vertigo, irregular heartbeat and the heated sensation in the upper part of the chest. Next one is the Nux vomica for high blood pressure in the young people. Nux vomica is high blood pressure in the young people who adopt sedentary lifestyle. As I have mentioned earlier, if you want to prevent yourself from the hypertension, try starting doing exercises and stop sedentary habits. So the Nux vomica patient have the sedentary lifestyle, and these lifestyle habits include smoking, alcohol consumption, sedentary routine, a lack of exercise. These factors predispose a person towards the blood pressure. Additionally, Dr. Regweg R85 combination R185 hypertension drops also helps in regulating blood pressure. So these are the important things what I have discussed with you about the hypertension and its homeopathic approach. So that's all. Thanks for watching.